So what's going on, guys? My name's Ash and welcome back to a brand new FIFA 23 video. In today's video, guys, I'm going to be showing you the best camera and controller settings to get you started in FIFA 23. If you use these settings, you will find it easier to adapt to the game, and these are like the most meta settings that you can use. All I ask before we get started is that you guys could drop a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and also turn on notifications so you're notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside, guys, let's get right into it. So starting off with the camera settings, guys, these are very basic, but these are the best ones you should probably use on FIFA. Now I suggest using the tele broadcast camera because it's the most even camera. You know, it's nice, it's got a nice side on angle so it doesn't like mess around with your controls too much, because obviously like if you were using the pro camera you'd actually have to move the left stick forward to run. So it's very even and stays very consistent. And then all we do is change it to custom, move the camera height to 20 because this gives you the best view of the pitch, so you can see players across the pitch and it's not too close to the pitch, and you can also do some nice plays. And I suggest turning the zoom all the way down to 0, because if it's too far, if it's zoomed in too far, you can't really see anything and you're constantly relying on the mini map to see passes and to see your other players. So that's why I use these settings, guys. Now moving on to the controller settings, guys, this master switch will always be on in online mode, so don't worry about the settings that are grayed out. I'm just going to leave it on for now. Right, what I'm going to say about through pass is if you're a new player, actually it doesn't matter. I suggest you use semi through pass assistance because I thought they still had assisted, but clearly not. So I suggest you use semi assisted through pass because you still get some assistance when it comes to the passing, but if you put like more power on the pass, it gives the game a better idea of where you want it to go. So it's not completely manual, but you know, you kind of assist the assistants, if that makes sense. You like work with the computer in order to like figure out which pass to make, so it bases it on the direction and power and helps correct it slightly. So I suggest using semi for that. Now with the FIFA trainer, I don't know why that's on. I suggest turning that off because it can be really annoying. Timed finishing, it says not recommended, but I recommend turning it on because if you can learn this mechanic, it is very effective for getting you extra goals, because if you can green time your shots, you're going to have a higher percentage of shots to goals ratio, for example. So I suggest turning on timed finishing. It's especially useful with things like free kicks, and if you combine this with the new power shot, it's very overpowered. The next player switch indicator, I suggest leaving this on because what it says, it basically shows who the next player would be if you like switch pressing L1. It will give you a marker on who it will switch to, so that can be useful. Pass block assistance, you 100% want this on, because if you don't have it on, it is almost impossible to block passes, because you know blocking is very AI based in FIFA, so you definitely want this on. Auto switching, I highly suggest having it on air balls and loose balls, because the reason for this is sometimes when your opponent makes a pass and you have it on like automatic, for example, it'll switch you off a player even if you don't want it to switch. The reason I have it on air balls and loose balls is because it only switches for you in those situations where very quick plays are happening, because when somebody crosses the ball, it's very difficult to switch in time, and in most cases the game will switch to the correct player in these situations. So I definitely suggest having it on this setting here. Auto switching move assistance, I suggest having this on low or none. Now the reason for this is because when you switch to a player, if you have high move assistance on, the player will carry on moving in the direction that they were before you switch to them. So it basically gives off this appearance of delay, even though they're just continuing what they were doing before. So if you have this on none, theoretically when you switch to the player, you immediately have control over the player you've switched to. Moving on to clearance assistance, you want this on directional, because if you have it on classic, it'll just hoof it anywhere and it's not very effective. But if you have it on directional, you can like score own goals and stuff like that, but it gives you more control on where you clear the ball, so it's less random. Now player lock, there's no harm in having this on. Basically, if you use player lock, it makes the AI control the player with the ball, and you can make a run with another player. It's basically like pro clubs, so there's no harm in leaving that on. Icon switching, I suggest you have this on because it can be very useful from set pieces. All you have to do is click in the right stick and it'll show you, which way to flick the stick to switch to what player. So it can be alright, but again, not very useful, I guess. Right stick switching, I leave this on adaptive because what they've done here is the longer you hold the right stick in any direction, it basically draws a line from the player. And if you hold the right stick more, it will move the line further across. So essentially, if you hold down the right stick, you can move, automatically player switch to players that are further away from who you're controlling. So it's very effective when it works correctly. Right stick switching, I always use player relative because I find it a lot easier and more consistent than ball relative, because players don't move as much as the ball, if you get what I'm saying, so you don't actually have to be as quick. Ground pass assistance, I suggest leaving this on assisted because the game usually does very good assisted ground passes. Shot assistance, again, I would leave this on assisted for now, because if you want to do a semi-assisted shot, use the power shot. That is usually the best way because that shot's basically manual anyway, but otherwise you want to keep shooting on assisted. Cross assistance, I like having this on semi because it gives you more control of who you cross the ball to. It can be more difficult to use than assisted, but I actually think it's a little bit easier because presuming you use a right amount of power and you aim in the direction that you actually want to cross in, the crosses are 10 times better than if they're on assisted, because it's a lot harder for the game to know who you want to cross to when it's on assisted. Now lob pass, again, is similar to crossing. I like to have this on semi because it gives you more control and lowers the chance that it goes to somebody you don't want. The same with lobbed through passes, it's the same as these two. I suggest having it on semi because it is a lot easier. Save assistance, it doesn't matter, just leave that on assisted. Analog sprint, make sure you've got it off, because basically if you have this on and you don't hold the right trigger all the way down, your player doesn't run as fast as they can. And although this sounds great, sometimes you might forget you have this setting on and you're not fully holding down the trigger, and you're actually handicapping yourself as a result. So I always suggest having this off. Pass receiver lock, I like having this on late because it feels like you have more control and it doesn't lock too early. And I like to turn off the vibration and trigger effects because I find it really annoying. But yeah, they are all the settings that I use, guys. If you have found this video informative, I would appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all later.